Oh no, I've lost me.
Oh, look at that! Surely that's highlight reel.
It's a beautiful grab. What do you have to say about it, Lakshman?
Oh, I'll tell you, it's just the boys, We came out here looking for a win, We got the win and, yeah. That's pretty much what footy players say after the game, isn't it?
Hello, welcome to Beyond the Boundary. My name is Josh. It's fantastic to have you again. It's round 11. We apologise for the microphone situation. One of them just completely carked it, so we'll have to deal with it for this week. But anyway, I've got Nick to my right. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm great, Josh. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. And Vinay on my left, how are you doing?
I'm very good as usual, Josh.
Now, boys, our tips. Adelaide cost me, cost you. You tipped GWS, you idiot. Nick's still 3 out in front. I'm second now. I've leapfrogged you, but
not for long.
Not for long. We're almost halfway through the year. After this week, we're halfway through the year.
Yeah,
it's going surprisingly quick, but
you're threatening to catch me then.
Yeah. Anyway, Nick, kick us off.
Just a reminder, we do release our tips on AFL season information, off-season news, 6 p.m. Thursday this week it will be because there's an early game. Speaking of the early game, it's Sydney versus Geelong Thursday night at the SCG. Last time these two teams played, it was Geelong by 44 points. Guys, what do we think?
Well, Vinay, the Sydney Swans have had their bye. They were pretty good against my boys last Friday night, 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
Buddy Franklin, he was superb again. That's two very good games. You were very emphatic earlier on in the year that he'd have a poor year. It's taken him some time, but the last 2 games he's played have been very, very good.
Yes, I will also say that I did concede that without Kurt Tippett in the side, he would definitely struggle. But I did say that with Kurt Tippett, there would definitely be a difference. And there has been. In the last 2 games, he's definitely lifted his game. As we can see, he's getting more of the ball. He's not getting the number 1 defender. And even if he is, they've also got Tippett to worry about, Goods to worry about, Reid to worry about.
Yeah.
So that's only helping Franklin. One thing I will mention about this week is that Stevie J returns, Nick.
Yep.
But on the flip side of that coin, Tom Lonergan might make his way out. So, what do you see there?
Well, the Lonergan situation is interesting. He went off with concussion, subbed off at quarter time on the weekend against the Kangaroos. AFL.com.au says he's unlikely, whereas Matthew Stokes says he's pretty sure he'll play.
Oh, so Dr. Stokes.
But in the same article,
his diagnosis.
In the same article, they're quoting Stokes saying he thinks he'll play, but they themselves are saying they don't think he will. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of tall forwards for Sydney there. There's Tippett, there's Franklin, there's Goods, there's Reid, as we mentioned. And this game could almost be decided, won or lost, on whether or not we have our best key defender in to match up against Franklin, who's been very, very good on in the past.
Yep.
Absolutely. Nick, Tom Hawkins, I thought he was absolutely superb against North Melbourne. He took Scott Thompson to the absolute cleaners, which not many forwards have done in the past.
Back to his best. He kicked 4 goals, which isn't a ridiculously huge tally. It's a solid goal tally.
Yep.
But it was his work outside of just kicking those goals. He was winning the one-on-one contest, bringing that to ground for the small forwards to kick. His marking was great.
It was.
His work rate was brilliant. I thought it was a very impressive game from Tom.
Josh Kennedy, Vinay, going back to the Swans before we give our tip.
JPK, that is.
He's having a very underrated season. He's averaging 32 disposals a game and 6 tackles. He's having an absolutely outstanding year.
He is. He was one of those players that had a bit of a quiet year last year. Had what some would say a breakout year the year before that. He's always been a very capable player. In my book, he's probably in my top 3 contested ball winners in the AFL, if not right up there, number 1. And that's why he gets so much of the ball. He's very, very difficult to tag. Most teams don't even bother sending their tagger to him. You're much more better off sending him to Kieran Jack. So he'll continue to be untagged, but it's just his in and under work, his tackling, his clearance work, and the fact that he can actually kick a goal or 2. He is one of those tall midfielders that we see that goes forward and can take a mark and kick a goal. So he will be someone that the Cats will have to have a good look at this week, because I don't think they can just say, well, he's a contested ball winner, we can't tag him and close the book on him, because that's what teams have done so far. and he has taken them to the absolute cleaners.
There's one player Sydney will have to watch out for this week. That's Jimmy Bartel. Vintage game from him on the weekend. Best on ground. Most people, I think, would agree. It was 2 goals, 32 disposals, 9 marks, and 7 tackles. Great game from him.
Absolutely. All right, boys, who are we tipping?
I am going to say Sydney by 10 points.
Yep. Cameron Guthrie plays his 50th game. I gave him my unsung hero this week. I thought he's been absolutely fantastic this year.
Having a brilliant season.
I'll be tipping the Swans as well. I just think their forward power is just going to be too strong, especially if Lonergan doesn't play. It's going to be too strong. 19 points.
I'm going to tip the Swans. That's conditional, assuming Lonergan doesn't play. If Lonergan does play, I think the Cats will get up. So Lonergan doesn't play, Sydney by 5 points. Next game of the round, it's St Kilda versus Collingwood, Friday night at Etihad Stadium. Last time these two teams met, it was Collingwood by 26 points. Guys, what do you reckon?
Vinay, there's one player I want to touch on.
All right.
Very, very badly.
Very badly.
Very
Busting.
badly.
Who is he?
I'm busting to talk about him. Travis Cloak.
Oh, no.
Travis Cloak. He should be dropped.
It's a very rough call. And I think Bucks said in his presser himself that he didn't say it, but he alluded to the fact that Cloak might be given a week off, which many might perceive as being dropped, but I feel that it might just be a week off for the big man. It might just be, whether he plays in the VFL or not, or whether he's just given a rest. It's open to debate. St Kilda, on the other hand, I see St Kilda as a team that it's a real opportunity for him to come back and maybe get some goals under his belt. He's had a very, very difficult season. He gets a lot of attention from opposition defenders. Jesse White hasn't taken some of that, pressure away from him. That's open to debate. But, I definitely think he's still a quality forward.
Just the 1 goal on the weekend it was from Cloak.
And that was in the last quarter, and it was sort of it was a mark, but it was sort of, I think it was Jamie Elliott that got it to him, and it was a bit uncertain whether Elliott was snapping for goal or, it ended up coming off the toe end of the boot.
He was in the right position at the right time. But let me say this. If Jesse White was in Travis Cloak's position, he'd be dropped.
For sure.
Wouldn't he?
For sure. But
so what's the difference with Travis Cloak?
There's something that comes with having a big name player in the side, in that you've seen their brilliant form in the past, and you know that at some point that form will come back. So having them in the side, it could be this week that will happen.
Well, the way I see it is that if you've performed for a long time, you've built up maybe some, you've got money in the bank that you can use. But, so if you don't perform, you can spend some of that money to keep getting chances. And I think Cloak got a lot of money in the bank at the moment.
Maybe not anymore. He might have spent a lot of it at this stage of the season.
The Saints boys, they were very ordinary against the Gold Coast Suns 2 weeks ago. They're coming off their bye. If any team needed their bye, it was St Kilda.
Correct.
They're young guys. They had a good start to the year. Luke Dunstan, Blake Acres, unfortunately, will miss 6 weeks through an ankle injury. Jack Billings has been very, very good. But
it's a curse down there at St Kilda.
They're starting to get a bit tired. The bye came at a very, very good time for them, I thought.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Teams coming back from the bye, this is another big question, but, do teams actually benefit from that week off, or do they come back and actually play at a lower quality than what they would without the bye?
I think the record shows that teams lose more often than they win coming off a bye.
There you go. I think players probably prefer that, they're used to this regular playing a game every single week thing. Their bodies are used to it, their game plans. You get that week off and, everything might get a bit pear-shaped. But St Kilda, they've got nothing to lose in this game. Nothing to lose. So they can make a big statement against one of the teams that would look to be, going 3-0 in their next 3. Collingwood have got Saints, Melbourne, and then the Bulldogs.
St Kilda have got the game to lose. I hate that saying. They've got the game to lose. One other thing before we move on, Nick. Jack Nunes, I thought he's been absolutely sensational this year. He got 29 disposals.
He's done a great season.
And a goal against the Gold Coast Suns. We named him in the team of the round for round 9.
How good's that?
Yep.
Round 9.
No, round 9.
And he's played every game this year. He's averaging 20 disposals. I think he's having an absolutely sensational year. So credit to him. Still side bottom as well, averaging 25 touches. Floats under the radar of most teams.
Escapes the tag often.
Absolutely, especially with Swan, Pendlebury and Beams. You're going to get those players that fly under the radar. Exactly. And a quality player like side bottom, he's going to hurt you. And he's been hurting teams this year.
Just before we get into the tips, Nathan Brown's shoulder, gone. He's gone for the entire season. So very bad news if you're a Collingwood supporter. He's an excellent key position defender. Puts pressure on the young kids. Boys, what are we tipping?
I think it might be a big win for the Pies this week. They've been building. 52 points, I'm going to say, the Pies this week.
Cameron and Dylan like this one. They wanted us to give them a mention. So there you go, boys. There's your mention.
Boys from the group there.
Yeah, boys from the group. Collingwood by 51 for me. Just too strong all over the ground. They'll get up pretty easily.
I also think Collingwood will have a big win. I'm going to say Collingwood by about 40 boys.
40. Next game of the round is Melbourne versus Port Adelaide, Saturday afternoon at TIO Traeger Park. Is that what you say?
Traeger.
In Alice Springs. Traeger?
No, it's Traeger.
Either other. Close enough.
We'll leave that up to you to interpret.
It's in Alice Springs.
It's up to you, the viewer, to decide what it's
Let us
called.
know in the comments section below what you
Viewer's
reckon it
choice
should be
now.
called. Last time these two teams played, it was Port Adelaide by 79 points. Pretty sure that was round 1 2013.
It was the debut game of Ken Hinkley.
Over a year ago that game was. These teams have both come so far since then, in different directions almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Melbourne have sort of gone down and now they're going up again.
Port Adelaide just gone back.
Yeah.
Cameron Pedersen, Vinay.
Yes.
He was the whipping boy at the start of the year at the Melbourne Football Club. He's been absolutely fantastic. Some fans still give him a bit of stick.
Yeah.
The game against Richmond, he had 16 disposals, 2 goals, 8 marks.
Yeah.
Probably his best game for the club against Richmond. He gives that second string to Chris Dawes. Chris Dawes will miss through suspension.
Yes.
So he's probably going to become the number 1 forward this week.
I really rate Cameron Pedersen, Melbourne fans out there. I really do rate him. I got on his bandwagon when I saw him playing for the Kangaroos. He was a mature age pick at the Kangaroos and he actually played extremely well. He was traded away obviously because of his age and the fact that they've got younger, up and coming tall forwards like Tarrant and Black. But he used to, here's a fun fact for you guys, he used to stack shelves at Bunnings.
He did.
He
certainly did.
Yeah, he used to stack shelves at Bunnings, he got a chance at the Kangaroos and now he's got a chance at Melbourne. And he is one of the most adept contested markers in the game. So I think he will more than rise to the occasion.
A Port Adelaide player who we just cannot go without touching on, Jared Pollock. He is 5th in our Player of the Year leaderboard at the moment.
Which is very accurate.
Which, we're very close last year, we keep saying. 9 votes according to us in the Brown, though we might have. On the weekend, he kicked 1 goal, he had 26 disposals, 8 marks and a tackle. It was a great game for him. Probably best on ground, just about, in the win over the Hawks there. Very, very impressive this season.
Absolutely. I love his outside run. He looks a completely different player to the one he was at the Brisbane Lions. Some say he had an attitude problem. I'm not sure how correct that is, but he's come to the Port Adelaide Football Club and been absolutely fantastic. Probably close to the recruit of the season.
Yep. Oh, by far the recruit of the season. To have come across having barely any games under your belt, and to have a year like Jared Pollock is having, he might win the best and fairest for Port Adelaide.
He's in the top 10 performing players in the competition.
Yes.
I would say at this stage in the season, he's all Australian at the moment, easily. We've got him. Fifth.
Well, I agree with that. As a wingman, yes, I agree with that.
We've got him 5th in our Player of the Year. We think he's the 5th best performing player of anyone. If he can keep up this kind of form, it's one of the breakout seasons to beat all other breakout seasons.
For sure.
Terrific.
Well, he's a very high draft pick, so no real surprises there.
I think Port Adelaide's midfield is now the top 3 in the competition.
Top 3?
Easily.
Corns, Boak, Ebert, Wines.
Wingard, throw in there.
Wingard. Oh, he's playing predominantly a forward role.
Hartlett,
yeah.
Pollock.
It's very difficult to decide. They become one of the teams that's very hard to decide who you tag, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you look at Sydney, you think, who are you going to tag? Now you look at Port, who are you going to tag? Is it going to be Corns, the guy that gets 30 touches a game? Is it going to be Pollock, who kills you with the outside run? So there's that. Hamish Hartlett, speaking of, is going to miss 1 week with suspension, boys.
Before we give our tips, Nathan Jones, I think, is having out and out an All-Australian year.
Yes.
If it was Pete now, I'd be very, very surprised if he wasn't in that side. He's 4th in our Player of the Year, sitting on 10 votes.
And our Melbourne representative thinks he might be up there for the Brownlow at the moment.
Absolutely. I don't see why not. He stands out in every Melbourne game, and they're winning more games this year, so I don't see why not.
Exactly. Very good point.
Guys, who are we tipping?
I'll be tipping Port Adelaide. Not by the excessive amount most people probably will. Being in Alice Springs is going to be hot. It's probably going to be a physical game as well. Port Adelaide by 31 for me. Robbie Gray plays his 100th game as well. Well done, Robbie.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Absolute gun.
Very, very good.
There's just something about Melbourne versus Port Adelaide Alice Springs tells me to be a little bit closer than it would be otherwise, as you said. I've got Port Adelaide by 36 points.
Thanks, Echo.
I think Quadra will get the job done by quite a bit, boys.
Quite a bit?
Yep, I'm going to tip them by 50.
50. There we go. Brisbane versus Carlton, match of the season, guys. It is Saturday.
Settle down, people get upset about that.
Saturday
We
afternoon.
do love you, Carlton and Brisbane fans.
Saturday afternoon at the Gabba.
Well, I do. I love you. Not in that way, but I do love you, boys.
Last time these two
And
teams
girls.
played, it was Carlton by 13 points. Vinay, how much do you love these teams?
Brisbane and Carlton. It is being played at the Gabba. But my man, Tommy Rockcliffe, he makes his return
He does.
from the gastro bug. The gastro bug claimed a lot of victims. He got Tom Rockcliffe, he got Joel Patfull, and he kept Dane Zorko to, I think, 4 touches or 7 touches for the entire game.
Geez, maybe you should come in and play a shutdown role. Sounds like he's been pretty good for him.
Yeah, gastro bug. I reckon Carlton better than Andrew Carazzo for sure. But yeah, they get these names back. 3 very important names. Rockcliffe, Zorko, and Patfull are easily in their top 5 best players for me, anyway. And does that give them a chance against Carlton? You never really know what to expect with Carlton. Good win against Adelaide. A lot of people think Adelaide probably should have won.
Yeah.
They had about 3 chances to seal that game. They didn't.
10-16 they kicked.
But we're not going to go into that because the winner wins the game and that's it. You don't go, they could have won, they should have won.
Yeah.
So, but I think Carlton should have this down pat. They've won 4 or 5, I think now, 4 on the trot. So,
Not 4 on the trot, they've won 4.
They've won 4? Okay, yep. So, they're improving their season and DT, Dale Thomas had a good game.
I actually think people will severely underrate how important Joel Patfull is to the Brisbane defence.
Yes.
He's a 2-time, back-to-back reigning best and fairest at the moment. He's been absolutely super in the last 3 years and this year as well, with big source merit down there as well. Him and Patfull have been rock solid. They don't have the talent around them as yet. They've got some good young kids coming through. They're going to take time though, but shoulders a lot of work on Patfull and Merritt to take the number 1 and 2 forward each week.
I saw an interview with one of the Brisbane officials. It was half time. They were getting smashed by the Kangaroos a couple of weeks ago, and they said you're quite clearly getting smashed in defence there, but you're going with just the six defenders there. You're not throwing an extra man down there. What's he thinking there? And his response was, we're trying to ease them into what a normal defensive structure should be. We're not trying to give them ridiculous amounts of extra help that will make a smash in the midfield. We're teaching them that defensive structure, which they'll be playing for the rest of their careers. We know they were 60 points down at that stage or something ridiculous like that. But they're still trying to, if they keep just working at this, those margins will get shorter. These players will get better at their defensive roles.
Against North Melbourne, they only had the 8 scoring shots. That's probably one of the lowest in recent memory.
Yeah.
We'll get into recent memories a bit later on, looking at both of you.
Oh, there we go.
But 8 scoring shots just isn't going to win you a game of football. Simple as that.
Definitely not.
Cade Simpson,
He's playing the midfield role.
all Australian at the moment. It's on the topic of all Australian all night at the moment, so we'll throw him in as well. We might even put together an All-Australian side next week, maybe mid-year All-Australian.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Look at that.
after round 11.
I'd be surprised if we agreed on a team without,
We'll figure one out.
We're still arguing about last night's team around.
We are. But Dale Thomas, as he touched on, also probably had his best game for the club as well. He picked up 23 disposals.
and took a very important contested mark / goal in the last quarter.
He did as well. Mick Moldhouse said in his press conference yesterday that he's probably 6 weeks ahead of schedule of where they thought he would be after his ankle reconstruction. So that's good to see. Despite the criticism he's copped from me as well as the football community, he's a very good footballer. And he just hasn't been able to reach his potential due to that ankle problem. So it's good to see him playing some good footy. Who are we tipping?
I'm tipping Carlton by 8 points. I think it'll be a little bit closer than some others might predict. Up at the Gabba, Brisbane will put up a bit of a fight there.
I'm actually going to agree with Nick. I think, like I said with the Brisbane Essendon game, I think they do all right at the Gabba. Rockcliffe is a huge inclusion. Patfull is massive as well. So I'm going to tip Carlton by about 4.
4?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
Close one.
Yeah, I'm tipping a close one as well. I think Carlton will just sneak over the line due to experience around the ball and either end of the ground. As I said, Brisbane had a lot of good players.
A lot of youngsters.
A lot of good youngsters, I should say, around the ball, around the ground, sorry.
Yep.
But Carlton just too much experience by 10 points for me.
Essendon versus Richmond, Dreamtime, Saturday night at the MCG. Last time these two teams played, it was Richmond by 39 points. Josh, what are your thoughts on this game?
We must find a way to kick a goal. Simple as that.
I'll tell you what, dream time, Essendon are going to be dreaming of a good goal kicker that can actually get down there and kick 3 or 4 goals a game.
Well, we've got 2 of them coming back this week, and that'll be Jason Winderlich and Paul Chapman, both capable of kicking 4 goals a game.
Very true.
And they'll strengthen us up down forward, I feel. I also have a sneaky feeling that Travis Collier might come back in. He was fantastic in the VFL on the weekend, and he might play as a small forward. He's got a good goal sense. His disposal does let him down, but he's very quick, and that's what we're lacking at the moment. As well as kicking goals, we're lacking pace.
Yep.
So I think we might have 4 changes this week, and I reckon we might see a debutant for Essendon. He's played before, but I think Sean Edwards might play as well.
Shawnee Edwards.
Not just because
not because he's Indigenous.
No.
Let us make that perfectly clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His last month in the VFL has been very, very good with his run out of defence.
Exactly.
Yep. Richmond, they came out. Josh will weigh into us about this a bit later, but Jack Rowe won 11 goals, which was very impressive.
How many?
11, I think.
How many?
11, maybe? 11?
How many, Vinay?
I can't remember.
We'll get into this.
I know he missed 2. He didn't get a perfect line.
We'll stick to Richmond before we talk about
Richmond, yeah.
But it was a great performance against
Much better, yeah. And one kid I really liked is Ben Lennon.
Yeah.
I really think, first game he played well, but we thought, he was the sub, it's his first game, don't want to get too onto the Lennon. But he really did prove himself. But again, it is against GWS, but still, he's a youngster, and he really took the game on. I like the look of this kid. I think he had 2 contested marks or something, so that's very impressive for just a kid. He looks to be that kind of nuggety midfielder type. And Matt Thomas was exceptional. Came over from Port Adelaide, laid 10 tackles. He's leading Richmond for tackles this year, and that's even including the fact that he missed a game.
Yep.
So that's that. One other thing is that Daniel Jackson might miss this week with a hip flexor issue. He was subbed off very early in the game, giving Nathan Foley a run. He may be subbed off. If he is, Anthony Miles will be the logical replacement. Has torn it up in the VFL, averaging 26 disposals or the like. So Richmond are lock and loaded.
I think we'll see another Richmond man return this week. The big Malay. He had 41 hit-outs. He had 41 hit-outs on the weekend, 19 disposals and 2 goals in the VFL. He's had 2 games there now. He's ready. He'll come back in for... I'm absolutely certain he'll come back in.
If he comes back in, Richmond have got 4 ruckmen. Or 4 players capable of rucking.
Yeah.
They were rotating Hampson, Vickery and Griffiths off Mumford, and it worked perfectly. They smashed Mumford in the ruck. His impact was so tiny you could barely notice he was on the ground. They completely defeated him, and if they have Marek on the ground as well, Essendon, Ryder and Bell Chambers have got a bit of a challenge ahead of them.
Absolutely. Before I give our tips, boys, I thought Essendon were good for 3 quarters against the Sydney Swans. That first quarter really let us down. We let the Sydney Swans get out to an early lead. They dominated us early, but I think from after that, we were really good.
Mm-hmm.
For 3 quarters, we kept them under 100 points.
Yep.
We only conceded 114, I think it was.
Yep.
So our defence is still very, very good.
Yep.
I think the part we're really struggling with is our midfield. I think our midfield is not being accountable enough, and that includes our skipper.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I don't agree with
As good as he is.
I love you, Joe.
So do I.
No, he doesn't. He hates you. He's just said that you're shocking.
No, I did not. I just think defensive efforts could be a little bit better.
All right, fair enough.
We should drop him, Josh.
No. No.
I'll tell you what.
Tips. Hang on. Wait.
We always go away with it.
You flogs said last week. You said this last week, and I want you to play this.
Oh my God.
I want you to play it.
No, look.
Should I play it, Vinay?
No, of course not.
No?
Josh is now holding us to account because last week we said that no player would kick 11 goals again for a long time. I don't care if you think it's against GWS. This is a feat, 11 straight, that will not be repeated by any forward for a while. I can tell you that.
Want to put money on that?
Could be for several
The
years.
next time that a forward kicks 10 goals or more straight...
Without a behind.
Yep. Without a behind at all, without any kicks out on the full, that counts as well.
Yep.
He had 0 clangers. Keep that in mind. He did not put anything out on the full. It will be a very, very long time. I can guarantee you that. All right? And I admit that I was wrong. Nick will admit that he's wrong. Yes, Rewalt kicked 11 goals. But any logical person, if we put up a poll on the bottom of the screen saying, do you think a player would kick 11 goals next week? I can guarantee that the majority of people would have voted no. I can guarantee that. Round 1, you were certain, we were certain that Sydney would smash GWS. GWS beat Sydney by 5 goals. All right?
And it is to the same magnitude of a player kicking 11 goals like that.
Exactly.
As GWS
It's as unlikely, yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, we made a mistake, okay? Everyone else who, if we'd asked, would have agreed with us. They would have made a mistake. Yes, you didn't, okay? You didn't, because whoop-de-doo, Mr. Rickard is just, he's got his crystal ball that I can't see, apparently. But you've been wrong in the past as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, but we're wrong on this account. We apologise to any sensitive viewers out there. Maybe another 11 will be kicked again this week. Maybe Roughhead will come out and kick 22. But I tell you what, GWS's defence, we'll get into it later, but they've got some issues to work out. That's what we've learnt from all this.
Yeah, you were wrong, and I enjoyed it.
Tips.
It was just so ironic that he kicked 11 the very, very next week. You got to admit that. It's funny.
It's hilarious.
It is funny.
I think part of the big call was the fact that it was 11 goals straight,
Yes.
which Jack Rewald didn't manage.
Bugger off.
Boys, let's get into our tips here. We'll get into our tips. Nick, who are you tipping, mate?
When he kicked his 11th goal, he had 11 goals straight.
Nick,
So
who
he's
are you
goals
tipping,
straight.
mate?
Not had any more shots.
He passed off to Trent Cox.
Who are you tipping, Nick?
I'll tip Richmond by a point because I think Richmond have been, Essendon, have been pretty shocking of late.
Yes.
I'm tipping Essendon by a point.
Oh.
We played Dreamtime really well.
Hang on, let me just take those glasses off.
Don't you start. Don't you start.
What do you mean me start? I tipped Collingwood last week.
Yeah, but a few weeks ago you tipped West Coast when they had absolutely no chance.
Against who?
I can't remember, but you did.
No, I think I've been right on every West Coast tip this year.
No.
Oh, I tipped us against Freo, that's right. But we didn't have absolutely no chance.
You did, because they were flying at the time.
We'll focus on this game. Tip.
Essendon by 1.
Yeah.
We have won the last 3 Dreamtime games, I believe. It might be 2, but I think it's 3. So we do like the occasion. Our Indigenous boys do lift for the occasion as well. Expect a big game from Paddy Ryder.
I think, I was telling Nick, I'll keep this brief, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I was telling Nick on the way here that Essendon are probably one of the most overrated teams that I have seen playing AFL. at the moment.
Who rates us?
I think that Essendon fans rate Essendon very highly. I think Essendon fans still feel that Essendon will make the finals.
I think coming into
which
this
I
season-
think is a laughable joke if you think that Essendon can make the finals. If they do, play this at the end of the season and rip into me. But Essendon, if footy games were played for one half, Essendon would be premiers. Because they show up for a half, then they get their pillows out, they drink a warm glass of milk and they go to sleep. That's what they do. And I think that Richmond will get them. I don't think Essendon have a chance in this game. I don't think they'll win this. I'm very, very sure of Richmond. Yes, Richmond have been flogged for the past couple of weeks.
I think what he said in the car was Richmond is the surest thing since anything.
Yes, I'm that certain that Richmond will win this. I cannot see Essendon. Yes, they're playing similarly to Melbourne at the moment. They're playing on spirit. And that's not going to be enough. Richmond have better players. They've got better forwards, better defence, better midfield.
They don't have a better defence.
All right. I'm sorry. They've got a better midfield, a better ruck division, and a better forward line.
Better ruck division.
Yes.
Marriage against Ryder and Bell Chambers.
Marriage and Vickery and Hampson. Hampson's
Kidding
been
yourself.
superb.
Absolutely.
Hampson has been superb this year.
Absolutely kidding yourself.
Nick, do you agree with me or
Hampson's
not?
having a brilliant season.
Thank you.
You are kidding yourself.
Richmond by 20 points.
Absolutely kidding yourself.
Adelaide versus Gold Coast. Sunday afternoon at Adelaide Oval. Last time these two teams met, it was Adelaide by 28 points. What do we think, guys?
The Gold Coast have been very, very good. They're sitting 3rd on the ladder.
Yep.
They're
Who picked that?
Yeah,
Tell me who picked that at the
that?
start of the season.
Who did pick that?
Nobody picked that. Anyway, go
They
on.
are 7-2, coming off a smashing of the Western Bulldogs.
They demolished them.
And who have they lost to?
Hawthorn and Fremantle.
The Premiers. They're all the 2 grand finalists.
Mind you, got smashed by both of them as well.
Yeah.
Now, this will tell a story. The Gold Coast Suns, the next few weeks, play Adelaide in Adelaide. They play Sydney. They play...
Where do they play Sydney?
West Coast.
Sydney up at Metricon.
I'm mentioning.
And they play West Coast and Perth.
They've already played West Coast in Perth.
No, Gold Coast.
That's what I'm saying.
Gold Coast haven't played us yet.
Yes, they have.
No, they haven't.
No?
No, Gold Coast are playing us in 3 weeks' time at Patterson Stadium. I'm
Yeah.
100% certain, yeah.
Okay. And they play Collingwood coming up as well.
Yes.
And there's another top team in there that they haven't played yet coming up as well. So
Geelong.
Geelong, that's the one.
Yep.
So they've got a tough run coming up. We will really see how far the Gold Coast Suns have come in the next 6 weeks.
But starting this week with an away game in Adelaide, an unfamiliar, like they've obviously never played at the Adelaide.
Very hostile environment as
Very
well.
hostile environment. This especially will be a big test for them.
It will.
Absolutely. The Adelaide Crows boys, Brenton Sanderson, their coach, said these guys need to get off the roller coaster, and he could not be more right. They're inconsistent. They're one of the most inconsistent sides in the competition.
Correct.
How can they lose to Melbourne, serve up that kind of performance against Carlton, but beat Collingwood?
It baffles me.
It's like
There's
North
no
Melbourne.
answers.
It's like North Melbourne. I tell you what, when Adelaide play North Melbourne, there are going to be some sore brains in this room.
We're going to get our producer on the show to do the tips for us.
You may as well.
He's probably got more ideas.
You may as well, go down to
Have you ever been to a game of football in your life?
as far as I'm
Oh, he has been to a game of football in his life.
Which one?
Richmond beat Geelong.
Who won?
I can't remember that.
Boys, Gary Ablett will play. We're not going to dwell on that too much because, he's been cleared. He's going to play.
So we should.
Yeah, Adelaide.
Actually, he should be gone for 2 weeks.
No, he shouldn't.
That was a blatant elbow.
Look, we're not,
Didn't even get him in the head.
I did. He got him in the snows.
boys, one thing that I want to say is that Tom Lynch is a gun. He's a very, very, very good player. Brandon Matera as well.
Yep.
He's an absolute freak. A lot of teams were pursuing him. He's not going anywhere. 17 disposals, I think 6 tackles, 3 goals. He's becoming one of the most handy small forwards in the game at the moment.
Absolutely.
We should probably clarify we're talking about the Gold Coast Tom Lynch here.
Yes.
Not the Adelaide
Yes.
Tom Lynch.
That's correct.
That is true, yes.
Sam Jacobs is the most informed ruckman
Yes.
in the competition at
Correct.
the moment. His last month has been absolutely superb.
Teaming around this week.
Team of the round, he got 23
Yeah.
touches. 23 touches against Carlton.
30 hit outs, I think.
30 hit outs, something like that. In a losing side, was the most, pretty close to the most dominating
performance, yeah.
player on the ground yesterday. Eddie Betts finding his feet, kicked 4 goals yesterday against his former club. One other thing I want to touch on before we give our tips, we've got to keep moving on.
Yeah.
When Ablett was down, this absolutely baffles me that people still think that Gary Ablett is the only player at the Gold Coast Suns that can do damage.
Dion Prestia.
Dion Prestia, Jared Harbrow, Matthew Shaw, Cade Colajasny, Danny Stanley, Harley Bennell all stepped up when Gary Ablett had his worst game in how long? Who knows? In years.
Haven't seen him play that
on Sunday. I thought they were fantastic.
I thought Prestia especially was absolutely brilliant.
Best on the ground by
Yeah.
a mile.
Now, guys, who are we tipping?
Gold Coast by 7. Just.
Close one.
I think they'll just get over the line. The only thing that I was going to tip Adelaide,
Oh, really?
being in Adelaide,
Yep.
but just Adelaide's fluctuant form just
can't
made
make
me tip the Gold Coast Suns. Cade Colajasny, the round 10 rising star.
I think Gold Coast are in good enough form to suggest they will relatively comfortably win this game. So I'm tipping them by 28 points.
I agree. I'm tipping Gold Coast by a comfortable 20.
Western Bulldogs versus Fremantle, Sunday afternoon at Etihad Stadium. Last time the two teams met, it was Fremantle by 28 points. Guys, what do we reckon?
Luke Dalhouse, Vinay, he's having a very good year.
Very good player.
Very good year. He along with Tom Liberatore, we spoke about this before the show, have been the two shining lights, I feel, for the Western Bulldogs this year. Dalhouse again got 27 disposals and a goal on the weekend against the Gold Coast Suns. He came off the rookie list, so he was a very, very good find for the Western Bulldogs.
For sure. It's often you see these rookie list players come out and perform, and Luke Dalhouse has done that. Dalhouse and Liberatore, pretty different players. Liberatore inside, Dalhouse outside, but they're both a very, very lethal combination. Ryan Griffin is returning to some of his best form.
Yep.
That's 2 weeks in a row now that he's gotten, I think, over 7 tackles or 8 tackles, and he's also gotten over 25 disposals, kicked a couple of goals as well. So he's very dangerous. Matthew Boyd is a champion, as we know. So, the Bulldogs have got the midfield talent. It's just on the other two ends of the ground that they're struggling at the moment. They've thrown Rob Murphy forward.
Yep.
To give them
I don't mind
some-
that.
I don't mind that either, to be honest. You may as well. He's a very experienced head, very reliable kick.
Versatile, can take a mark.
Exactly, yeah.
He's not slow either, so...
For sure not, yeah. So I think,
Before we jump into the Fremantle Dockers, Stuart Cramery.
Yep.
Now, there was one fan that asked us to explain why you do not rate him. However, his stats don't lie. The last month he's only kicked 5 goals, and 4 of them came in one game. It's not good enough.
it definitely isn't good enough. And the reason we say it's not good enough, yes, you can point us out and say, oh, he kicked 4 against Melbourne, he kicked 4 against GWS, But that really answers the question itself,
You're
doesn't it?
seeing a common factor.
Exactly, you're seeing a common factor. He's
Jack
kicked
Rewald kicked 11 against GWS.
Exactly.
Josh Kennedy
kicked 11 against GWS.
Yeah.
You look at the teams that he's kicked 4 against. They've been Melbourne, they've been GWS, and they've been Carlton when Carlton was still, struggling and they'd lost to Melbourne and Essendon by quite a lot. So I think Crameri as a key forward needs to perform in the big games. He needs to be the kind of guy that gets the Bulldogs that upset victory. Not the kind of guy that, helps them out against battered, weak defences like Melbourne and GWS.
Goes missing far too often.
Far too often,
And
yeah.
I'm not just saying this because he's at the Western Bulldogs. It happened in Essendon as well.
Yeah.
He goes
Yep.
missing far too often in the big games when the game's there to be won.
Definitely.
And he needs to lift.
Definitely. So if they're a chance, he needs to be one that has to take that responsibility.
Fremantle Dockers boys, they were superb against your boys
They definitely were.
before the bye. I thought, as I said last week, they dominated you in almost every aspect of the game.
Well, I thought especially the first quarter there, that fast start is just so vital against any side. And after that, Geelong, they never really picked back that margin. I thought after that point it actually became a relatively even game, but Fremantle was still ahead in sort of most areas in the ground there. Yeah.
They may get Luke McFarlane back this week, which will be a massive inclusion, but even so, Zach Dawson has been very, very serviceable.
Very serviceable.
Despite the criticism that he cops, very unfair, similar to what I feel about Ryan Showmakers. I think he cops unfair criticism. He's doing his role very, very well. The role that Rossaline has asked him to do, he's doing fantastically.
Yep.
And even if Luke McFarlane doesn't play, I think Zach Dawson can do the job. And there's one other player I want to touch on. He always seems to get your boys. Love him or hate him, Hayden Ballantyne is an absolute jet.
He's giving Nick a headache over there.
He's a brilliant, brilliant player.
I'll say
so much.
I'll say something about him. He's either extremely good or so bad that you want to bang your head against a door, against a steel door.
Yep.
Steel door.
Flashback, grand final against Hawthorn.
Yep.
I actually counted. I think he cost them 8 goals.
Yep.
Through mistakes of his own.
Yep.
So and then against Geelong, he almost won the game for them off his boot. So a big game for him, big game for Fremantle.
Who are you tipping?
I will be tipping Fremantle by 41 points this week, despite the fact that it's in Melbourne. I think Fremantle.
So you're giving Fremantle to thump the Bulldogs.
They will absolutely thump the Bulldogs.
Fremantle have only lost the one game at Etihad Stadium under Ross Lyon.
Very, very good.
And that was against St.Kilda when they sent over Peel Thunder.
Claremont?
I remember
Peel
that.
Thunder.
Yeah.
They're aligned with Peel Thunder. So.
It was Michael Bale and 21 other
Rookies.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Fremantle by 41 for me.
Fremantle by
You
a...
stole my tip, you bastard. Anyway, go on.
Or did you steal mine?
I don't know. I reckon
I'm going to say Fremantle by about 50, boys.
Yeah.
Hawthorn versus GWS. It's Sunday afternoon at the MC.
We don't want to spend too long on this.
I've actually got that in big
We actually do
letters
not
that I
want
do
to.
not want to spend too
We
long.
need to get this moving along, boys. So I'm going
Don't
to...
spend too long on this one, it says.
Last time these two teams met, it was Hawthorn by 83 points. I think the time before they won by about 160.
Yes, I think this is going to get very, very ugly. We have seen two forwards in Josh Kennedy and Jack Rewalt, two struggling forwards, come out and go whack against GWS. The mind boggles to think what Jared Ruffhead and Jack Gunston are going to do to this undermanned. It must be said that Aiden Core, their key defender at the moment, is just a kid.
Yeah.
He's only 19 or 20 years old. Give him a break. I think you were saying that all their proper key defenders are injured. Tim Moore,
Phil Davis, Tim Moore, Nick Haynes are all...
all their big guys are gone. So it boggles the mind. Aiden Core has to go to Ruffhead. I can't see anyone else going to Ruffhead.
He sure had to spend time on Jack Rewalt on the weekend.
He did.
So
And he struggled.
That just tells you a story that they're missing so many key personnel down there. Even so, their effort around the ball has been absolutely insipid.
Ruffhead, one thing I was going to say, Ruffhead loves the weaker teams. Loves them. He feasts on them. I think he's averaged something like 4 goals against teams in the bottom 4 this year.
He's going to eat Aiden Core this week.
He's going to eat him. He's going to bring
Like
him.
an apple core?
Oh, Rick. No.
What did he say? Apple core.
Like an apple core. He's going to...
Hawthorn were gallant in defeat against Port Adelaide. They went over there. The noise at Adelaide Oval was absolutely amazing. Jordan Lewis was absolutely magnificent. 38 disposals, 2 goals, almost single-handedly got them over the line.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic. Luke Bruce, not arguably, I will say he's the best small forward in the game by a country mile.
Country mile.
I reckon there's some
Country
candidates
mile.
Rickard and Hawthorn players.
He loves
He
them.
always brings in Country Mile or Daylight.
Or Daylight.
I swear you're a Hawthorn fan as well. Anyway.
But boys, GWS did not show anything against Richmond. Jonathan Patton is continually disappointing me. Number 1 draft pick. He's had
Big
time
times take longer.
Pardon?
Big time.
He does. The big boys do take time, but he has not shown much. But I also feel bad for him. They've used him as a defender. They've used him as a forward. They've not given him a chance. But this week he should get a solid chance.
Before our tips, I didn't like Leon Cameron putting Jeremy Cameron in defence from the first bounce. To be honest, it is basically giving up defeat from the first bounce.
Yeah.
Jeremy Cameron was an All-Australian forward last year. He kicked you 63 goals for the year.
You're right.
You conceding defeat from the very first bounce. I don't care if you're trying to develop him. If you're there to win the game,
very good point.
you play him in.
On one hand, we're saying they're desperate, absolutely desperate for some help down back, and on the other hand, we're saying we don't like seeing a talented key player going down back. So maybe,
but you don't put a proven forward.
Well, you've got to make a decision.
You can put Patton down there because he hasn't shown
exactly.
Is Michael Hurley a proven forward? He's going back to the Bombers at the moment, isn't he?
No, Hurley's not a proven forward.
Oh, I don't know.
He's not.
Anyway.
He's not a proven forward. I will say that. But what I'm going to say is that I do agree that Cameron, if you have any chance of winning that game, Cameron must kick at least 3 goals.
Yeah.
That is a given fact. And the fact that you started in defence, A, says I have no faith in my young defenders, and B, I have no faith in us being able to kick, goals to win the game. So,
okay.
leave that alone, boys. Tips.
Who are we tipping? I'm going to say Hawthorn by 94 points. I think they will.
Is that it?
I think they will eat GWS.
Oh.
Justin, pick a number between 80 and 150 for me.
67.
80 and 150, and you pick 67.
67 points?
No,
Jeez, it's a bit generous.
It's 122.
Hawthorn is going to maul them. If Richmond can win by that much at Star Trek, I think it was, spotless at their home ground, Hawthorn at the G, Roughheads coming back, Hawthorn by 180 points. Book it. No. I swear on it.
They'll be setting record.
I swear this is the strongest tip I've ever made. Book it. They'll win by more than 150. That's a certainty. 180 is just a vague tip.
Final game of the week, Nick.
West Coast versus North Melbourne. Sunday night at
night.
Poston Stadium. Last time those two teams met, it was Nic and Vinay by 2 points.
Yeah, Nic Nats. Paddy whack.
Good goal that was.
Matthew Prentice against Collingwood Vinay was at. Oh, there's that face. That meme will go in the group.
No. He's a gun. I don't care what anyone says. He's in the top 20 midfielders of the comp.
Yep.
He's a freak.
Yep.
He's so consistent. It's unbelievable. Every game he does it, and he's almost like a miniature Josh Kennedy in the fact that he gets probably just maybe 2 or 3 tackles less and maybe 5 or 6 disposals less. But in every other meaning of the word, he's a gun.
Josh, last week I said quite confidently that I think West Coast has fixed their goal accuracy problem. Do you agree with me now?
15-10.
Nope.
15-10.
15-10 they kicked.
15.
Oh, one was rushed.
15,
That's not in their control.
15-10 they kicked. If you look down their goal kicking tally, it's 3 goals 1, 2 goals 1, 2 goals 1, 2 goals straight, 2 goals straight, 1 goal 1, 1 goal 1. The only exception is Kennedy with 1 goal 3. I think coming from what they did, they had the GWS game where they were so ridiculously accurate, and now they've come out, they've done, that's on
very
par.
respectable, yes.
I think they've fixed their problem, and now they're now on par with other teams as far as the goal accuracy is concerned. If you have a look, 15-10 is the most common way to score 100 points for any team.
Correct.
That's what they've done here. So I think they've fixed their problem, despite the fact that they couldn't quite kick a winning score against Collingwood.
Well said, Nick. One thing I do want to touch on, Jesse White and Trav Cloak both kept to 1 goal. West Coast are doing a very good job holding those tall forwards down. Eric McKenzie, Josh.
Easy Mac.
Easy Mac. What do you think?
10 of the round this week.
He's made it.
Well deserved. Probably a bit late, to be honest.
He's done it. He did it to Schultz. He did it to
on a number of
Pablo.
occasions. So he was absolutely fantastic. Boys, moving on to North Melbourne. Brent Harvey is like a fine wine, just gets better with age. Do you like that one?
I do like that one.
How old is he now? What, 84?
36.
96?
36.
He had that one written down. He was preparing for
I did not. You're stitching me up. Another 33 disposals against your boys on Friday night. He's just been absolutely superb this year.
Very hard to match up on.
What I noticed early on in the game against Geelong was that their next tier midfielders were not standing up. It was Brent Harvey, and there was probably one next tier midfielder, Levi Greenwood, that was stepping up.
Yeah.
But early on, Jake Siebel Nick Del Santo.
Lee Adams.
Nick Del Santo, you could probably put in the top tier.
Yep.
But even still, he had an ordinary
Average game.
Wasn't average. He ended up getting 27.
Oh, did he?
But the first,
Oh, that's
I'm
pretty
talking
good.
about the first half when the game needed to be won in that first half.
Well, he had a lot of the ball, but he didn't really. He wasn't as damaging as he was.
He didn't have a lot of the ball early.
No, but I'm saying overall he had quite a lot of the ball, 27. But it was not as damaging as you'd usually expect from Nick Del Santo.
Now, Ben Cunnington as well has had a lean couple of weeks. He needs to get back to his clearance working,
Hard balls.
possession winning, contested ball winning game, and he hasn't been like that.
Yeah, I think a sure sign that you've got a problem up forward, which is something that was quite obvious the other night, was if Majak Daw and Drew Petrie, if Mark Blitzarves can come in, and I don't think he'd even heard of the defensive key position before he played in it.
Yeah. That showed when Chris Scott had to show him.
Chris Scott, it was up on the big
body.
screen. He's walking off the field. Mark Blitzarves is taking off the sub vest. Chris Scott is showing him how to use his body in a defensive contest. I don't think he'd even tried out that position before. Like Chris Scott's just showing him what.
I have a lot of respect for Mark
basics to do.
Blitzarves.
I'm not sure if
One of the
this
best utilities in the game, to be honest.
I'm not
You
sure
can
if
put
we
him
should
anywhere on the ground.
Maybe we should have talked about this in the Geelong preview because Mark Blitzarves had 7 spoils over Drew Petrie and Majak Daw. So North Melbourne have definitely got a problem there if a player can come in and have that kind of performance over a seasoned key forward and a
I'd
developing
agree.
key forward.
And I think Petrie's got no form, and West Coast love the tall forwards, to be honest, the defence. So Easy Mac, Mitch Brown, those guys will go to town.
All right, boys, let's wrap it up. Who are we tipping?
I will tip West Coast by 22 points. If they win, they will play finals. Because North Melbourne are their biggest competitor for 8th spot on the ladder. If they win, they will play finals. North Melbourne won't.
Very cool. Lacroix comes back. Massive inclusion. Massive. Absolutely huge. Josh Hill's good, but he's not as good as Lecker. And I think West Coast will get the job done. Had 14 more inside 50s than the Maggies, but couldn't get the job done. This time they will. I'm tipping West Coast by 20.
I'm tipping North.
You tipping North?
Tipping North. They
Here we
love
go.
Patterson Stadium. They went over there and beat Fremantle.
An undermanned Fremantle.
I don't care.
An undermanned Fremantle.
They're the runners up. They were the runners up. They've got depth. They beat them comfortably.
Fair enough. Look, if anyone can do it, it's going to be North. So fair call.
And they took your boys to the absolute brink. It took a goal after the siren to beat them last time.
That's true.
They played Patterson Stadium very, very well.
That's true.
So I'm going North by 2 points.
Fair enough.
That brings us to the end of
Done,
another
boys.
episode of Beyond the Boundary. We do apologise for the sound quality in this episode. We are desperately hoping it'll be fixed by next week. If not, definitely the week after.
There wasn't much we could do, to be honest. I mean, the microphone carked it as soon as we started. So there's not much we can do. We apologise. We did the best we could, but
But we've been loving the feedback, especially the support over the bye rounds with less games to talk about. Everyone's still been tuning in. It's been great.
Twitter handles?
Twitter handles at Gosson N,
J Ricard 1991.
VK Lax as he has a set to finish.
He's got about 20 followers, so give him some love over here.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
got 50, thank
Oh,
you.
50.
50.
I'm following 20 people.
Oh, okay.
You're 2,170.
Well, I am new to Twitter. Give me a break. It took me a few weeks to figure out what a retweet was. I'm still just a Twitter kid. I've only been on it for a few months. 3
Email
months or so.
inquiries, btbafl@live.com.au. Your arm's a bit high there. Clearly out a bit here. Noticed that in the editing last week. Hit the subscribe button up in your top right-hand corner up there. And I'll tell you what, if you press the like button, Kyle Cheney will give you $50.
Have we confirmed that with him?
We have
have
checked
confirmed that with Carl.
I sent out a tweet, he didn't reply, but Kyle Cheney, if he doesn't reply, it's affirmative. He's going to give you $50.
You better
So-
put a disclaimer in
Boys.
there in case he does come in.
Guess who I'm thanking?
Who are you thanking?
Valley Arm. They are an excellent group.
They're brilliant.
They're a very good partnership,
love
and
it.
we thank them very much for the support they provide.
I would like, before I forget, I'd like to thank our producer Justin Westhoff. Despite our audio problems tonight, he's been a great help in
Absolute legend.
Absolutely, boys. Vinay, thank you for being with me. Nick, thank you again.
Carl Cheney, thanks for the sponsorship.
Oklahoma City, get the win. I'm following you. Get the win over the
This is a
Spurs.
football
It's a
show.
football-related show, John.
Most people watch the NBA anyway. Go the Thunder.
Gary Albert should have got 2 weeks. We'll see you next
No,
week.
No, he shouldn't.
Go
See you
Eagles.
Oh, he's got him. Oh, the iron fist.
The outstretched